Hey, everybody. How are you? This is Adrian. It is 6:30 and I'm live. Um, yeah, I don't know where I went just now. I was thinking, I was like, do I want to say more than I already have to say today? But I think I have a lot to say. Maybe sometimes, I try to keep it short, try to keep it under 15 minutes, sometimes under 10, just because, y'all have a busy day, but it doesn't mean y'all can't get this word. And by the word, I mean the word of the week. So let me go over here to comments on Facebook so I can see. Ooh, okay. So the word for this week is pivot. Um, a lot of people see pivot meaning a couple of different things. So I'm gonna tell you the meaning, and then I'm gonna tell you what I use it as and why it was the word for 2020 for me. Like it meant a lot. And I know I didn't do it before now. But according to the Google, um, pivot is as a noun is a central point, pin, or shaft on. That's what she said. Central point, pin, or shaft on which a mechanism turns on or oscillates, or it can be turned on as in pivot. So yeah. So let's see. Hey, Black Phoenix. Uh, so the way that I'm going to use it is more as where it means that it's changing some aspect of its core products or service, meaning, us as people. So, and I say that because, and I say pivot was like my word for 2020 because that's kind of what I did. So I don't know how much of this I've shared, and I don't know how much, I'm gonna share today, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. Um, so 2020, we know that's when everything started. A lot of people were at home, a lot of people were locked down. I myself was working at the prison and we had no days off. So I was trying to think to myself, what can I do for you to make sure you're safe, to make sure you can stay at home and, in case something happens like this in the future. And here we are in 2022 and something else is happening. So I took a bunch of classes, so I'm gonna give a shout out to Paul Brunson. I took a bunch of business classes with him. Not even, couldn't even tell you for sure how I found him on Facebook, but he was doing lives on Facebook about businesses and how you can do things and how you should move. And he kept using the word pivot a lot. Like sometimes you're sitting somewhere and doing something, but in order for you to move up and to go further, you have to pivot. You have to change perspective. You have to look at things differently. And when I tell you I got a PhD in business and taking these classes and meeting, like he actually put us in groups in one of the classes. I was working with people in the UK and in Jamaica and I think Texas, like, that's still the US, but it's far from here. Um Bahamas, yeah, UK, Bahamas. I had one in Jamaica. I can't remember all the other places, but we were in groups of people all over the world. I think one was actually in Canada, and it broadened my horizons to be able to see people and how different that we are not, because all of us were there to learn to do something different with ourselves and to learn how to pivot. And what I learned in those classes was how to pivot, how to move, and how 1 degree, one small change can change your whole trajectory in life. And so, all the things he taught me and all the things I learned from everyone else, I'm not just going to say just him because it was a collaborative effort with the group that I was in as well. The things that we learned, um, I'm still putting into play. Like I knew I wanted to leave that job at the prison. So I started making the small changes to bolster my business. We talked about doing a podcast. Um, I take this as a podcast. So I started back doing my lives every week, which, I had stopped at one point. I'm having a hot flash, so I had to turn my fan on. Don't judge me. It is what it is. And my next thing that I'm working on is an online course. So I'm putting all the things that he gave us and said, this is what you can do to expand your business. This is what you can do to pivot, to change, to do things, and to help people at the same time. Like, he gave us so many things, and I'm doing them all, just not all at the same time. At one point, I was overwhelmed, and I was like, ooh, I need to do a whole, people say, I got to do a whole 360. Well, you do a 360, you're back where you started. So instead of doing a whole 360 or a whole 180 on that pivot, I just did a slight pivot and then another slight pivot and another slight pivot, like a little bit at a time, to where I could handle it and to where I can put things into place. And if you think about it, that's all we need to do. Make that one small pivot, that 1 degree of change, that one small thing that can put us in a better place than we were yesterday. One of my friends, Nikita J, because we talk, we had these conversations, and she was like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I took that and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So we talked about it amongst ourselves, amongst the little group. And I also went back to say, where were we 5 years ago? I was like, we didn't even have this relationship that we have now with each other 5 years ago. So if we even look at that, it just shows you what another 5 years can do. It shows you what a small pivot, a small change, something different in your life. And it doesn't have to be huge to make a huge impact for you. So see what you can pivot on. See what you can change a little bit. See what you can do to move forward for you, because you never know what that small thing could be. And again, for me, it was, instead of trying to do everything at once, because I was, instead of trying to do everything at once, I concentrated on my private practice. And it went from a few people in the evening to me quitting the prison and doing it full time and having enough clients to do what I have to do. It went from having a couple of butterfly flow shirts to having a shirt line, which I haven't completely concentrated on just yet, but I have it out there. So if y'all want to see it, it's on butterflyflow.life, because butterfly flow is life. And that's my website too. So yeah, I yeah, it's doing what you can when you can to improve yourself every day. Small pivots, small turns, 1 degree of change, 1 degree can take you a long way. And if any, and not just I was gonna say any of my military folk, but not just my military folk. But remember we would do land nav, and if you were 1 degree off, it would take you up. You could be a mile from where you needed to be by that 1 degree. So just think, if you make a 1 degree of a pivot, of an improvement in your life, how far away from where you are now you'll be with just that 1 degree of change, that one little pivot. Just pivots, pivots. Yes, I was watching Friends. It's one of my favorite shows. Friends and Living Single, who, as y'all know, is almost the same. So, so yes, I think that's all I have for right now. Yeah, I know y'all didn't ask, but my earrings, my friend Yvonne got me these. I would call her by her nicknames, but she has just as many as I do, if not more. So I'm just gonna say Yvonne or Trina. It's one of those. Thank you so much. I really love them. She got me another pair too. Maybe I'll wear those next time, but I like these too. They're lightweight. They look heavy, but they're not. And of course, still got my nails done. And of course, I have my shirt. Dance, eat, therapize, repeat. I think I've worn this one before on a live, but I felt it today. That's where I want it to be. See, hopefully I ain't get all the way in my lap because I got on some short shorts. So so yes, so just be on the lookout for some slight changes in my social media. I'm gonna try to do something daily because I it's hard, man. It's hard because it's to keep up with posting daily and doing all the things. And but I want to put out some type of information to you all on a regular basis. So yeah, so thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Word of the Week. And this week it was pivot. Next week, I think I'm going to go with validation. That's been coming up a lot this week with clients. So I think that will be a good word. And then the week after that will be settle. Just because it's on my calendar. And normally I try to do a word from whatever month is up there. So settle will be week after next. But next week will be validation. And we'll talk um a lot about that. I don't want to say nothing because I'll get into it, and because I talk about it with my clients a lot. So it's something that I'm passionate about. And if I start talking, I won't stop. So thank y'all for watching. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week. Um, hopefully, because I'm supposed to be out of town. So hopefully my background will look different. I don't know what it's gonna look like because I don't know. I'll set it up and we'll see. So thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next week, next Thursday, 6:30 live. And yeah, we'll chit chat about some validation. And oh yeah, and don't forget, if anytime you want to speak or if you have questions, you can type me the questions in the comments. You can send me the questions beforehand, or you can raise your hand on IG to speak. If you want to get on Facebook, you have to let me know in advance so I can get you in the yard dog over here. I know StreamYard, we call it yard dog. It is what it is. So yeah. So thank y'all for watching. I will catch y'all next week. Bye.